Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 264 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we're going to make some better concrete. Enjoy! So we have all our different ingot types. Now we just need to mix them up into the coil form. But it kind of presents an interesting problem. And that problem is buffer. Because up until this point, there really hasn't been that many buffers. Certainly, the ore bus itself has buffers in it. But past that point, even with these warehouses, nominally they only hold 1,000 resources, so there hasn't really been that much buffer. But once we hook up the train stations to the new resources, they need to fill up to an entire train's worth of resources in buffer, and potentially even more as trains come and pick up requests. So for example, with cobalt, we're going to need to have an entire train of the cobalt plates, and then an entire train of this resource as well. And it's even worse because if a train is parked in the station, we need 2 trains worth, one for the train and one for the buffer. So for something like iron and copper that we can make very easily, it's not going to take very long for that to get filled up. But for something like cobalt, where we only can make it at around 7 items a second, and we only hold 4,000 of it in reserve, because we can't really do any crystallizing to make any more, that the second this gets hooked up, it's going to get nuked. And it's just going to run very slowly for a long period of time to fill up a buffer. So in the near future, the factory is going to be kind of dormant for a while everything fills up until we can see how it works, because the trains are set to, at a minimum, they have to be a fourth full, so if it doesn't have that much, the trains aren't even going to run at all. So if the factory is going to be stationary for a while, we kind of want it to be doing things while it's stationary, and I'd rather get these things prepared ahead of time rather than wait. And one thing that we need to deal with is biter evolution, because it has been creeping up. It went up very fast after we cleared out all the biter nests. But they keep expanding, and the artillery keeps taking care of the expansions, but it's bumping up the biter evolution, because the way I have the evolution set up is it only goes up when biter nests are destroyed, not with pollution or time or anything else. So it's been held pretty stationary for the past 480 hours, but now it's going up rather quickly because a lot of nests are being destroyed. So we kind of need to combat that, because our wall has held fairly well up until now, but every once in a while when biters attack, they just destroy the turrets. I'm kind of surprised the wall ends up holding in the end, but they end up destroying a lot of the turrets, and you know, robots will come in and fix it. Oh wow, that's a lot of orbs. And the gathering turrets are suspiciously not gathering anymore. For reasons. Probably should replace them again to make sure that gathering occurs. So although we've been kind of holding the wall up until this point, I'm not sure how much longer that's going to last. And we're going to need to wait for the ingots to be ready for better research, and that's going to take a little while. So in the shorter term, I kind of want to start working on that biter evolution. So I wonder if there's an easier way to, like, replace these without just straight up having to pick them up every single time. That is so annoying. Honestly, it's probably faster just coming through here and picking them all up. Which is made even more annoying now that we have more of them. Such a cool little thing. I really wish it would just work rather than deciding to stop for unknown reasons. Because when the biter orbs get up to the wall and push in, they end up crowding the belt with the ammo. Although picking things up is annoying, putting them back is a little easier. Getting zaps again. So many orbs, we really need these turrets to be collecting them all. Seems like especially in this corner. Well, the biter technologies are powered by biter souls, so we should probably stop burning them first. Mainly, we were just running out of room for them, so now that we have room... Oh my goodness. We're at 90,000. Let's say this has to be more than 100,000 to actually dump stuff, so we keep some on hand. But the biter technologies are right here. We can build a thumper, which is biter bait. They just go towards it. You can do a hatchery, where you add these nutrient solutions with stone and sulfuric acid, and you can grow things like biters, or even the spawners, or spitters, to help you out. An alien control station, which is basically mind control. But the thing we're looking for here is the terraforming station, that it lowers evolution over time by using this alien stimulant, which is just a bunch of alien artifacts. It does say that every consecutive station it is less effective than the one before. I'm not sure how much less effective it becomes, so I'm thinking maybe we'll build like 4 of them and just see how that works. Try to lower the evolution a bit. And you need alien artifacts to do it, but also building materials. And these building materials are just fairly common stuff. You just need them in large quantities. Larger than we really have access to. But since we're going to be working with biter materials, we should probably just set that to infinite. And we're short on electronic boards, which is kind of the problem, that to build one of them requires so many boards. We can't really handcraft them with one stack of boards in our inventory. And kind of an annoying thing is this alien stimulant doesn't seem like it could be made in anything. It doesn't look like it, so it has to be handcrafted. That is a little annoying. We're crafting our terraforming stations. That's an interesting term for it. Wouldn't think of lowering the biter evolution as terraforming, but I suppose it is. Seems like if you were terraforming, it would make the evolution go up. So I guess I'll just put it over here. It's kind of annoying that it all has to be handcrafted. But where else would it go? And then it's not a assembler that you can click, but it does have these chests right here. And it is making logistics requests. But I imagine it can also just insert them directly. And I wonder if we can hook up a wire to that. Our stimulant has to be equal to 0 for it to insert. Just so it puts 1 in there. Then we just fill up our inventory full of these things. Not sure how many of them we're going to want. I guess we'll just make all of them. That is a lot of handcrafting. They don't turn into that many when everything's said and done. Let's see, it's not saying it here either, so maybe it can actually be made in assemblers, just not showing up. Let's see here. Oh, thank goodness. Was getting worried there for a second. Well, now this is bad because our inventory is full of these things. It's gonna make things very dirty doing this. That's making the stimulants. This one will make the regular artifacts. There it goes. I guess we'll just leave like 1 stack in this. Well, that's still picking up, so that's not working. Oh, that's recipe. Always gotta watch out for that. There we go. So let's see how this works. For lowering the evolution, you can see it's ticking down a little bit. Doesn't tick down very fast. Let's see, we can put this one right here as well to get the big artifacts in there. And just make its request like 500. So we're at 59.17. And it ticks down a little bit. So it's the daytime and the biters aren't attacking, but we'll have to see how it works having these 4 going. And maybe put more down if it looks like we need it. So that's pretty good. One other thing I'd like to get started on is upgrading our concrete. We do need to do the reinforced concrete blocks for the next tier of machines. Not that we have the other materials yet, but we're getting there. So that's something we're going to want to make. But mainly, we want this refined concrete just to make the factory a little better. And since it uses so much more stone, it's half the efficiency of regular concrete, you kind of want to wait until basically you don't need the regular concrete anymore, and we don't because we're completely covered. And I'm thinking that because our logistics zone is getting so wide these days that we could just cover entire sections of the factory with the robots. And anything that's left over we can try to do manually or fill in the gaps. It will take a while for them to do it, but it will be automatic at the same time, so that'll be good. We've got all these processes in here that we unlocked. But with concrete, we unlocked cement too, which mixes the alumina and the iron with the silicon and the lime, so it spreads the load around a little bit and requires a little less silicon to do this. And then the mixture changed, where instead of needing 8 cement to make 100 concrete, you need 6 to make 120. It does add in some stone requirement, but ultimately that's less stone than it required in slag. So in addition to needing less stone, it created more concrete. You do have to add the wash sand in there, but that's just a water thing that we can do. And of course you would make concrete from that, and then you'd have to take the extra step to turn it into refined concrete, which requires that steel and iron. If you wanted the reinforced concrete bricks, it's just regular stone bricks with the concrete added in, so you don't have to take it from refined concrete. So I guess we'll let this go. I don't know if I want it to go completely until we have like 0 biter evolution. I'm not sure if it works that way. I haven't used that element of the mod before, so we'll have to see. Maybe if it gets down to about 30%, I'll turn it off because 30% is kind of what it was before and we were surviving. Basically, when it stops spawning the biters with the flamethrowers, we'll probably save our turrets. So some elements of these are going to change. We're taking it straight down to make the concrete bricks. So this won't necessarily change, but this much up here will. And then we'll have extra builds on the side for the other brick types we need. But we should probably just calculate it out. So let's say our goal, let's see, what was it before? 30 bricks a second, I bet? Yeah. Let's go for the same. And regular concrete bricks and reinforced ones are basically the same, just one has some steel added in. So we'll say we wanted 30 of them. And then to make that concrete from the better recipe, we need this. And we want to check for productivity modules, and oh, they are available. So setup gets big for a while, but that is quite alright. And then in goes the cement, which has just these random resources, which are easy enough to send down on a few belts. And then the lime has to be cooked. The limestone is made from a washing plant, and the water goes down the list, and the requirements are small. And we have some other requirements that we need. We need this wash sand, which can be made from regular sand, but washing it from thin mud water is probably best. So we can move this up. So we can include it in the calculation. We'll put a speed module in there so we only need 1 machine. Then we gotta move the water in order here. So it looks pretty good. We've got the base resources here, and it requires much less concrete as a result of those productivity modules, but we have 1 washing machine going into 1, so it'll be a straight line for all of that stuff. And wow, 1 assembling machine making the liquid concrete, and then 40 of them making the bricks. And that recipe will be the same for the non-reinforced ones, it just won't require any steel. Okay, because the setup is going to be seemingly much smaller. There's a lot of machines in there, but I think the setup itself is going to be fairly small. We could just build it in place by ripping out the old one. And the biters on cue are breaking stuff. The turrets are holding out. It's just when they manage to spit some fire over the wall, it damages things. And luckily, all of our acids have been holding out really well. So that whole setup is doing its job. Still need to move these resources around. I guess we should do it now, since we're right here. Carefully drive, because there's no road here. Let's see, the stereotype is over here somewhere. Looks like we've got some junk in the crawler we need to clean out too. So we'll let this train just empty itself and build a new mine when we get to that point. Well, we've got a space here. And it looks like the factory's extra limestone is being delivered here. We could probably continue the same process if we need to. But let's see here. We got a lot of stuff we can move. Because we have access to the better power poles now. And we're kind of doing it in reverse, but that's the orientation it is in, so we'll just do that. So we need our productivities. How fast is each individual machine with that? Quite slow, so how they're working now is fine. So we can do groups of 3 of them, and this pipe is doing something weird. I kind of remember that. So the number of them is the same. We need about 38 of them. This gives us 12. So that's our second group. That's our third. That gives us 36. And these bricks are going down, but there's no reason why they couldn't just go up. So to make it look a little cleaner, I'd like it to do that. And it also makes sense because these stones are going to go to 2 separate setups here. This is just the first one in a line. Most of these are in place, but we need 1 more row. So I guess it basically just fit in the same spot as the other one. Are robots covering here? Oh yeah. And it's running a little bit because it can. For output reasons. Let's make those red. And we have 10,000 of them, which seems like an appropriate number. We'll need to do another one of these builds, like over here or something, but we'll worry about that step later. We just want to go down the liquid stage of the concrete right now. And this is the part that gets incredibly small, because right here we're making 300 a second to go into this, but it still needs its productivity module, so it's much smaller due to that we remove all of this. But since these setups are going to be so different in scale from each other, we probably just want to cut it all out. So those are connected. Mostly it needs to be connected on the side, but whatever. Well, those things are not going anywhere. Well, there you go. So we don't need any of that. And all of this that we modified earlier, we don't really need anymore. Probably need some bot charging and bot parking in here. Okay, while the bots are working on all of that, we can try to figure the next stage here. So it is a single assembly machine. No reason to mush it. Let's see, we don't need any of these either. But it's going to get its input from above for cement and sand, and then from the side, probably like just right here, for its crushed stone. And we don't need to take slag at all from this setup. which means it essentially doesn't have to save anything, but might as well just leave the logic the way it is for now. I'll probably just put 3 inserters on this. So sand on one side, cement on the other. So those guys can make the cement. Going into one half of this right here. The other input needs to be those resources and the alumina. Guess the resources would come from out here somewhere. The numbers are all very small. Productivity modules do that. So the alumina would come in. Also, it would need its blast furnaces. So for now, let's go down the line of washing plants. Don't have to smash any of this in here. We've seemingly got tons of space for this. Where this gets water made from this setup right here. Then we got to pull some from the side for this one. Kind of like that. Meanwhile, the water kind of goes between everything else. And then we need 3, 2, 1. Let's just yoink the water from here. I think this is the mud. So we gotta grab it out of here, which leaves us with the washed sand, which is a component of this one. Stone is coming in from over here, so I guess washed sand would be this one right there. 3.75. So 1 inserter. Might as well plug it all in. And see it get to work. Not too much to see, but this one handles a blast furnace. I think we've got some in here, yep. It just directly cooks it. And hey, it's actually kind of lined up a little bit. So it would be probably red inserter on each side. And we do have that carbon dioxide, which seems like it's right here. So we'll just reuse the same thing. What does that go to? Oh, that's the concrete for that setup. So carbon dioxide goes out, and also we need the wood bricks. And this is the place where the lime is being dumped, so that's actual lime. We might as well attempt to make use of it. So sure. Although there's no reason we need to have 2 belts here. Oops, that one still needs to stay there. So, lime and fuel come in. Output priority on the right. And let's just make this near side so it inserts on the same side. And grab some fuel. Okay. That seems connected. Basically, it's all here. Now we just need to move the alumina, iron, and silicon down. And they are going to have to be on 2 belts. And it's kind of tricky to see where to do it. It's also going to require a lot of belts. Oh, there's a little empty space there. Probably just come in between here first, though. Where is it? Right there. Gap no more. Okay. This first one can be the alumina, which we have to go all the way back to find it. Although it is actually being sent on a drone, now that I notice. Is that worth sending on a drone? Probably. Actually, I bet the silicon and iron is too. So I have changed my mind. Because ultimately, it's just not that much. I think the alumina is being used for like grinding wheels or something like that. Iron should already be on here because it's being used for the metal catalyst. And aluminum and silver will be as well. Something tells me silicon is a no. Seems like it. And I think we took it down before because it wasn't being used for anything. But here we are. Now it is. Let's just use this. The priority on the input. And actually that alumina isn't even hooked up right now. Forgot to hook it back up. I think part of that reason is because it's direct inserted, so it's not particularly easy to get hooked up. How much would one inserter do? Well, we can do a second one here. It's kind of messy. But something like that. To get this stuff back to where it needs to go. Okay. So we just need to actually make all the requests. And let's replace some of these pipes. Because that will allow us to pick all of these up. And go much further. So we can make our 3 requests. The alumina. How much do we want here? Probably a few drones worth. So we'll do like 5. Iron we want 5. And this one, the silicon, we want 5, but I'm waiting on the drones to get here. Let's just hand make some drones. So everything got here. Let's start hooking things up and see what happens. That's a lot of things there. Kind of want to keep that list closed. But now we have everything but the stone. Filling those up as far as they'll go anyway. Pretty good. So the input for all of those is 160. The output of that one is 180. So it all seems pretty well balanced. Let's delete some stuff off of here that's kind of extra. Because we don't really need any of that now. We're already making the concrete. And that's the end of this episode. On the next one, we're going to work on making refined concrete and the reinforced concrete bricks. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.